Okay, hi, my name is Christian, and the topic for today will be America's role in childhood obesity. So first of all, the global status report from the World Health Organization said that an estimated 170 million children across the world under 18 years old are now estimated to be overweight. The high prevalence of overweight and obesity has serious health consequences. Raised body mass index has a major risk factor for diseases such as cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and early mortality. For my major claim, it will be that childhood obesity can be reduced significantly by American policies or laws and programs. First, I will talk about the laws on restrictions of marketing as well as food environment. Secondly, programs, physical programs in schools and local communities. And then third, long-term multiple component programs for health. So for my, to support my major claim, the general laws that influence society's food environment are critical to preventing childhood obesity. The limitation of marketing unhealthy foods and beverages will eliminate unhealthy dietary choices among children. At the World Health Organization, Cons, Angus, and Hastings all go on to say that marketing of food and non-alcoholic beverages to children is very potent and highly influential. Strong evidence supports that television advertising adheres to food knowledge, preferences, purchase requests, and consumption patterns of children. Furthermore, television advertising is associated with increased consumption of snacks and drinks, higher in sugar, as well as excess calorie intake. Accurate nutrition labeling will also help control the childhood obesity. Accurate nutritional labeling has been shown to encourage more healthy diets among people who read the labels. Accurate nutrition labeling has been shown to encourage more dietary health. People who actually read the labels, amongst accurate information, which will eliminate any controversies. You see vitamin water, that kind of wording, vitamin, sometimes confuses people in their choices, as well as hiding any of the labels or what's in the ingredients in the food will impair somebody's judgment. Secondly, physical activity programs in schools and local communities are effective to preventing childhood obesity. Of course, establishing programs that are promoting physical activity in schools and local communities will prevent childhood obesity. Physical activities in school can show consistent improvement in behavioral knowledge and physical outcomes in children. In Bogota, Colombia, it is considered a world leader in promotion of active transportation and regular physical activities. This is an illustration providing that activity programs are crucial to local communities. They implemented a shutdown from like 2 to 7 in local communities. They shut down the streets as well, and then they either played soccer on the streets or hockey or stuff like that. It was really effective, and it ended up eliminating 400,000 children from obesity, which is about 18%. Long-term multiple component programs designed to target a local community have been demonstrated to be effective for child obesity prevention. This is also another supporting claim. This kind of, to break it down, long-term multiple component programs. So these are programs that aren't just focusing on singular things, such as food taxes. They're programs that will go into local communities, schools, hospitals, stuff like that, that enforce physical activity as well as healthy choices and eliminate advertising instead of just doing one thing. It's noticed over time and time again that when you just singularly focus on one subject, that it will end up failing. The L. King, researcher for best practice of the community-based obesity prevention development, went ahead and researched 78 programs in Australia, and they were all of the same size, all of the same capacity and funding. But he noticed that all of the multiple programs were the most effective. So again, things that enticed everything around. The most successful community-based intervention for childhood obesity prevention have multiple components that are designed for and implementing according to the local context. So what this means is that if we have these multiple programs that are focused in on the local community, not just on a world level of from country to country. If we focus on city bases and we have cities go ahead and focus and create programs, it'll be a lot more effective. A good example of this is in Beijing, where they had a school program where they counseled people of obese children, as well as implemented, not like a detention, but more physical activity afterwards. And it ended up, the evaluation was that half of the class was, half of the school compared to other schools, they significantly reduced all of the obesity. So there was only about 7.9 in schools, whereas in other ones there was about 14 to 15. So again, the general laws that affect marketing, as well as physical activity and long-term multiple component programs, are going to be effective in America's childhood obesity. The childhood obesity can be reduced significantly by these programs. Thank you.
All right, well, the subject's clear. The proposition is a little complicated because you kind of have multiple parts to the solution that you're talking about, and it's a claim of future fact that this would produce this desirable outcome. So I think there's got to be a way to simplify the argument that you're making here. The contents are previewed pretty well, although your third point is ambiguous in the preview, and although it gets a little bit clearer in the body of the speech, I still think there's some problems with it. The dispute on this seems to be, I think the primary dispute is what is the causality on this issue, and you seem to be blaming it on marketing and not enough physical activity. And I think that the first one, probably a little bit more controversial. The second one, I'm not exactly sure there's a dispute on that. Physical activity is probably going to be one of the best things for dealing with obesity. I don't think anybody challenges that concept. The question is, how do we get kids to be more physically active? And it sounds to me like the proposals that you are talking about, or the programs that you're talking about, they represent some potential areas where there would be conflict, but those on a policy level. It's like, in Beijing, they give you counseling, and then it's not detention; it's just physical activity because you've been identified apparently. I think that's this is a culture that's vastly different, and I can imagine that there would be problems with that. I think that the issue of nutritional labeling on the first point seems to imply that there's not adequate nutritional labeling currently, and I'm not sure that you document that. If people do well when there's adequate nutritional labeling, and we have adequate nutritional labeling, what's the problem here? Is it just the marketing issue that you talk about? The causality on this is a little thin. You've got a couple of quotes on it that suggest that there's a lot of the targeting that's going on here, but I don't know that there's any way to measure that, and I would guess that there are other explanations as to why the food choices are being made for a variety of issues, including cost and convenience issues, not just in the marketing issues. The physical activity thing, you've got, like I said, the examples from Bogota. I think you want to clarify what was going on there. And one of the things I think is happening is that you are kind of paraphrasing things that have been researched without giving us direct quotes from the people who are reporting on them. And as a consequence, it's not always as clear as it should be. I think you'd be better off doing that. The same sort of thing with the second point. I got a clearer explanation, excuse me, the third point. I got a clearer explanation about what you mean by this, multi-dimensional approach and talking about the Australian programs. So I kind of get the idea of what you're talking about there. Again, the notion that there is some comparable program that would be beneficial, in particular in the U.S., but I guess worldwide. It seems like it's an okay inference, but you do just have the one example there, and and again, how significant that difference is. Though that was the one place that you had some statistical information that I thought was pretty effective that suggested that it reduced the rate of obesity pretty much in half with the one comparison. I thought that was something that was pretty useful. All right, the summary was also pretty good. Thank you.